In the notes that you had on translation and rotation, as it says here, the primary objective there was to simply to move, so to speak. We don't really move anything, we just adjust axes. So, but we wanted to move the conic to a different set of axes, or really a new plane. So in that case, it was usually from, in your notes, it was like the XY plane to the X prime, Y prime plane. And really then what we did is we'd have a cleaner equation in the new plane or the new set of axes, making analysis easier, the algebra to be easier. Okay, and you know, if you notice, that was primarily just that's the algebra side of things and the equation side of things. So what we want to actually do here is kind of talk about going the other way, which it's nice, it's easier for the most part. At least with a translation, it's much easier to think about. Okay, so for instance, and just to kind of make it easy and to give us maybe an idea of why we might want to do this, let's say we had so we've got the X, Y axis here, and let's say we've got a really nice, we've got a, we've made things nice for ourselves, so we built our ellipse right here, put the center of it at the origin. I know that's not a great picture, and so we'll call this ellipse A, if you will. And its equation is simply, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to pretend to keep the scale, but I'll just say that, okay, let's say the equation for this ellipse is x squared over 16, or 4 squared if you will, plus y squared over 9, or 3 squared if you will. Okay? And so then I'm going to have another ellipse. So and basically then what I'm going to do is I've got another ellipse I've built, but it's located physically in a different place. But to build it, so to come up with it, I actually then give myself a little room here, built it on what we'll call the X prime, Y prime axis. And this picture is probably going to even look worse, so then we'll just say that we got, okay. So again, here we have then what we'd call ellipse B, and in this particular plane, let's go down here kind of, I think that'll be out of the way. In the X prime Y prime plane, the equation is simply x prime squared over 9 plus y prime squared over 4 equal to 1. Nice clean equation. Okay? And I might also add that then these two, let's do this, these two axes are parallel or perpendicular, however you want. So in other words, x and x prime are parallel, y and y prime are parallel to each other. Okay, because we just want to talk about translations, not any kind of a rotation here. All right. And so the whole thing, what I want to do is I really want the equation for both of these ellipses, ellipse A and ellipse B. I want the equation for both of them on the XY plane. Well, ellipse A, I'm good. I have the equation for ellipse A on the XY plane. I don't want to move ellipse B, but I want the equation for ellipse B on, but I want an equation for it that's on the XY plane. We've got a very nice one in the X prime Y prime plane, but that's not the same positioning, so to speak. It's not the same reference, okay, because it's a different plane, a different set of axes. So now, one thing I will make note of is that, hey, on the XY plane, let's write this down, okay? So the center of ellipse B, and I'll just put B here, is at the origin on the x prime y prime plane. Okay, but it's at 2, 5, we'll say, and like I said, not pretending to keep scale of any kind, I'm just putting numbers on there. Okay, but it's at the center of B is at 2, 5. Let's just go up here and mark that. So, yep, the origin of the x prime y prime, but the point 2, 5 in the xy plane. Okay. All right. Now, all I want to do is then make a transformation like you talked about in your notes, except this time instead of making a transformation that'll make the equation look nicer on a different plane, in other words, from going from xy to x prime y prime, for instance. Here I want same ellipse. I'm not moving the ellipse. I simply want I want an equation for ellipse B that references the xy plane instead of the x prime y prime plane. And so here I'll make the substitution. Okay, makes perfect sense. I'm just going to make the substitution. X prime equals x, whoops, not equals, x, whoa, where'd it go? X minus 2, and y prime equals y minus 5. And basically this is just because we know that the center of ellipse B is 2, 5 on the xy plane. Hence x prime we want to be x minus 2, y prime to be y minus 5. And so then the equation in the xy plane for ellipse B becomes x minus 2 quantity squared over 9 plus y minus 5 quantity squared over 4 equal to 1. Now, granted, not a horrible equation, but certainly not as nice as, x prime squared up here over 9 plus y prime squared over 4. But I need to reference both ellipse A and ellipse B on the same plane. Okay? And so that's the kind of translation that we're probably most usually interested in. In the next video, we'll take a look at doing a rotation to accomplish the same thing.